What memory from childhood still gives you chills today? Back when I was in first or second grade, there was this older boy in our neighborhood, probably around 11 or 12. Oddly enough, he only ever hung out with the little kids, mostly those of us who were 6 or 7. He'd invite us over to play video games, and sometimes a small group of us would go. One day it was just me and another kid my age. We went to his place to play Super Nintendo. Partway through, my friend left for some reason, and I was alone with the older kid. That's when he started inching closer to me on the couch. I remember feeling this deep, crawling discomfort. Then, his older sister came home, and she completely lost it on him. Yelled at him in front of me, "You know you're not supposed to be alone with the little ones." She turned to me and told me to go home now. I never saw him again. We moved not long after. To this day, I feel like I narrowly escaped something horrible. I'll never stop being grateful his sister came home when she did. My little sister used to idolize the men in our family. Grandpa, then one of our uncles. She was obsessed, always asking about them, always trying to be noticed, trying to be their favorite. Everyone thought it was adorable. Looking back, it was heartbreaking. Our dad was angry, cruel, emotionally unpredictable, especially toward her. She wasn't just seeking attention, she was looking for a dad, because the one she had was failing. Childhood wasn't easy. I've gone mostly no contact with our father. She still talks to him, but she's moved far away, has a stable life now, good job, a kind partner, a little boy of her own. She's a great mom. But I think there's still a quiet ache in her, a place where a real father should have been. Grieving a parent who never showed up, that pain doesn't really go away, you just live around it. Then there's this thing my dad used to say, "You come from good breeding." I grew up in an evangelical cult, the type where girls were taught their only purpose was to marry young, stay silent, and have as many babies as their husband wanted. Independence, not an option. Before marriage, your father was supposed to model what a godly man looked like. So yeah, I was told things growing up that I didn't realize were deeply messed up until I was much older, until I escaped. Looking back, that whole environment was disturbing. Today they call themselves Sovereign Grace Churches. Before that it was Sovereign Grace Ministries. And even earlier, People's Destiny International. Same cult, different branding. I grew up in their Virginia branch. Their teachings were nearly identical to the IBLP. They even used their materials. When I was 13, my best friend and I were at a summer festival. A man, much older, came up and asked for our numbers. We were naive, flattered. Thought it was cool an older guy was into us, so we gave them to him. He started texting us for days, said he was 26. We told him we were 13. Didn't stop. Him? The next weekend he asked us to sneak out and go for a drive, and we did. We didn't tell anyone, just got into his car and rode around for an hour before he brought us back. Nothing happened. But looking back, it makes me sick. A grown man luring 2 kids into his car at night. That's not normal. That's predatory. I'm 30 now with kids of my own, and I just can't believe how stupid and lucky we were. He texted. A few more times, then faded away. I think he was testing us, testing the waters. It could have gone very, very differently. Then there's this memory I can't shake. I was 7. My dad's girlfriend showed up with 2 black eyes. She said she stepped on 2 rakes. And as a kid, I believed her. Seemed possible. But now, it haunts me. Not just because of what he did to her, but because she had to lie about it. That man was broken. The world's better off without him. One time, walking home from school, a woman pulled up beside me. Said she was a friend of my mum's, sent to pick me up. I was only a couple blocks from home. I told her no and kept walking. Years later, I casually told my mum about it. Her face went pale. She'd never sent anyone. I was maybe 5, but I remember that moment vividly. Something in me knew she was lying. My brother used to give me piggyback rides home from school, but insisted I sit on his neck. He'd tickle my inner thighs. At the time, I liked it. Thought it was funny. Only, as an adult with a fully developed brain, did I realize what was really happening. He did worse. And even though he's out of my life now, he recently tried to message me online. Brought it all back. I'm struggling, but I'm surviving. Then there was the Santa realization. When my daughter found out Santa wasn't real, she looked at me and asked, "So you just had me sit on some random man's lap every year?" And, yeah. It hit me. That's exactly what we do. Mall Santas go through background checks, at least the legit ones, but still, the whole idea feels different now. Growing up in rural Florida in the 80s, one morning my sister and I found a stack of women's running clothes at the edge of our woods, folded neatly. Shoes, bra, headphones still on. Told our mum. Cops came, took the clothes. Nothing ever came of it. No missing person reports. Looking back, it chills me. Or the time we were visiting my dad's aunt by the beach. One night, blood-curdling screams echoed through the retirement complex. My dad, a cop, said it was just kids playing. But the look on his face told a different story. I still hear that scream in my head. I'm almost 60. I'll never forget. I was 8, staying with my aunt who worked as a caretaker for an elderly woman who rented out homes. One of the tenants, an older American man, would always try to talk to me when I was alone, asked about my favorite things, made me uncomfortable. I'd run to my aunt, or the old lady. They'd just brush it off, told me to be polite. That. Another boy was friendly with the man and got spoiled with food, gifts, even hotel trips. I didn't think much of it then, but I avoided him anyway. Now I know I was right to. Then there's this. My mom once told me to go wake up my great-grandfather. When he didn't respond, she told me to take his wallet, quietly, without waking him. Later, they shuffled all us kids into a bedroom. We never saw him again. I'm pretty sure I was asked to steal from a dead man. And it makes me feel sick. She always chased money from him and great-grandma. That moment should have been my warning. Sign. She wasn't above stealing from a dead man. Why would she spare her own kid? Let's not forget the trauma of early internet days. Chatroulette, Omegle, AOL chat rooms. So many predators. I was way too young, talking to strangers. It's terrifying now to remember how exposed we were. And then the pine tree forts. My dad carved out little hiding spots in the thick trees beside our driveway. My sister and I loved playing there. One day, while our parents had guests, one of the men followed us into the fort, looked around and said, "Wow, no one can see. You in here. You could even pull your pants down." I didn't understand, but I never forgot it. I told my parents years later, "We still don't know who he was, but I know now. He had bad intentions." A 7-year-old shouldn't remember a comment like that, unless something in her gut knew it was wrong. Then there were the team sleepovers at my male coach's house. No kids of his own. Lived with his mom. Nothing happened, as far as I know. But why were 7 to 10-year-old girls sleeping over at a grown man's house? And finally, the bar. My dad used to bring me there after work, every day. I had my own seat, my own drink, my cartoons on the screen. As a kid, I thought it was fun. As an adult, it's horrifying. But the bartenders, they kept me safe. They looked out for me more than my dad ever did. They even added cartoon channels for the summer, and just for me. He didn't want a daughter. He wanted a drinking buddy. When I was about 13, I found a random coder on an online forum and paid him to come to my place to flash my Siemens A56 phone into a C56 model. I just wanted those cool, polyphonic ringtones and a few extra games. My mum was usually home, but I knew she'd be out one Thursday afternoon, so I told the guy to swing by. This dude, probably in his 40s, shows up, and I let him right in. He asked where the PC was, sat down, inserted a disk, ran the firmware update, and I handed him 25,000 Colombian pesos, about $12 back then. He hung around for maybe 40 minutes, chatting and monitoring the process, then left like it was no big deal. Looking back, I realize I was just a naive kid alone in my apartment with some stranger I met online. The what-ifs hit me hard now. Thank goodness he was just a tech geek and not someone dangerous. Still, those ringtones? Totally worth it. Around 7th or 8th grade, our class was fundraising for a school trip by holding a car wash in a church parking lot. My friend and I were waving signs at the edge of the lot, which was big but open, with clear views of all the entrances. A guy pulled up asking about the car wash and then told me to hop in his car to show him where to go. I gave him a confused look and pointed, saying, "It's literally right there." He drove off without getting his car. Washed. I thought it was weird but shrugged it off. Years later, it dawned on me he might have had creepy intentions. Around the same age, during a youth group fundraiser selling BBQ plates in a gas station lot, classic South Carolina, a man pulled up, grabbed one of my friends, and tried dragging her into his car. She screamed, elbowed him, and bolted. One of the deacons, armed and ready, held the guy at gunpoint until the police showed up. Gotta love a Southern deacon with a pistol. My friend Leah and I used to wait at the same bus stop for middle school. One freezing morning, she said the guy whose house was right by the stop was her friend and would let us warm up in his garage. We did a few times, and I felt so grateful for his kindness. Tragically, Leah passed away in a car crash in high school. My mom, who knew Leah's dad from childhood, told me about her death and mentioned that Leah had been abused by that same man. I was shocked. Did anyone confront him? I don't know. As a kid, I assumed adults handled it, but now I know justice isn't guaranteed. My mom has dementia now, so she can't clarify. I'm so sorry for Leah's loss and hope you're coping okay. When I was 7, we had a ton of relatives staying over, grandparents, cousins, the works. With the house packed, I slept on the living room couch and my grandparents were on a pull-out bed nearby. We were in El Paso and it was brutally hot, even at night, so my parents left the back door open with the screen locked. I woke up in the middle of the night, spooked, like I'd had a nightmare, and saw a shadowy figure standing over me. I felt someone tug my blanket or touch me. It was dark and I was groggy, but I was scared enough to crawl into bed with my grandparents. The next day we found out we'd been robbed. Someone had slipped through the house, swiping the TV, cameras, jewelry, anything valuable left out. 11 people were in the house, and the thief moved like a ghost. Now I realize that figure was likely the burglar. I don't know what woke me, but imagining what could have happened chills me. Growing up with Southern evangelical parents, I was terrified of the rapture, thanks to those Kirk Cameron Left Behind films. That's probably where my anxiety kicked in. I'm agnostic now, but I still remember being 5 or 6, my dad warning me not to look for him, my mom, or my little sister when the rapture started. Or I'd be left behind for putting family before God. Absolutely horrifying. When I was around 12, my mom casually mentioned that a former neighbor, a sweet, fragile-seeming woman, had been assaulted by an intruder who broke into her home while her husband was at work. We'd already moved away, but it shook me and made me sad for her. I was 7 or 8 when I knew her, and looking back, I wonder if that trauma explained her delicate demeanor. I hope she found healing and that the attacker faced justice. This was around 1979 or 1980. She'd be in her 70s now. I heard the perpetrator was never caught, at least not for that crime. The number of older men who complimented me as a kid, here's wild. They seemed nice, made me feel mature, but now it's just creepy. What kind of grown man tells a 12-year-old in Winnie the Pooh overalls she has great legs? And the number of relatives and family friends my mom warned me not to be alone with? Shocking. If they're sketchy enough to warn kids about, why were they still invited to family gatherings? There was a store near us called LaBelle's that sold everything from fancy plates to toys. Behind it, they had dumpsters, and we kids would dig through them for treasures. Broken toys, partial dish sets, wooden pallets for building forts. A couple of years in, we noticed the dumpsters were suddenly locked. We figured someone made a mess, not us. We were tidy and always cleaned up. Later, we learned someone had dumped a child's body in one of those dumpsters. We never saw it, but we'd been tampering with evidence. How'd we know? One kid, David, asked a store worker why the dumpsters were locked. His dad, a news junkie, confirmed it was because of a body, not us. But we got no details on the who or why. The pastor at my childhood church used to try kissing all the girls on the lips, slipping us bite-sized Snickers if he succeeded. My cousins, sisters, and I would dodge, turning our heads or tucking our lips to avoid a real kiss. Our brothers and male cousins were jealous of the candy. We didn't like it, but our southern mums and grandma brushed it off as polite, and him, being a godly man. In elementary school, my friends and I would explore storm drains that led to the river. Thinking about all the ways that could have gone wrong makes my stomach churn now. We'd navigate drains and ditches, feeling our way in the dark, clueless about the danger. After some kids drowned years later, drowning warning signs popped up everywhere. I hope they're in my hometown now. My best friend's dad in middle and high school was Off. He'd call my dad to ask if I could stay an extra night without us even asking. We'd come back from hanging out and he'd say, "Oh, you're staying the whole weekend, I already talked to your dad." I loved it then, but now I cringe. Remembering how he'd let us drink, compliment my swimsuits, push me to change into my bikini to swim, or hand me a mug with a crude design thinking it was hilarious. Once, I woke up to him carrying me upstairs from the basement where I'd fallen asleep. I pretended to still be asleep because it felt so wrong. Looking back, I'm horrified. When I was 6 or 7, I was a loud kid, running, yelling, laughing, typical stuff. My parents never minded much, maybe telling me to take it outside or quiet down. Then, suddenly, my mom's tone shifted. She started warning me, dead serious, "If you keep being so loud, the hyenas will come and take your voice." I thought she meant I'd strain my throat, which made sense to me then. But last year, catching up with a childhood friend from the neighborhood, he mentioned a wave of child abductions back then. Kids snatched at night, culprits never caught. The timing matched perfectly with when my mom got strict about my noise, especially after dark. It's chilling to think about. My school psychologist used to spill details about other kids' cases, even telling me about a classmate's suicide, how it happened, how her best friend found her, everything. As a teen, I thought it was normal because adults, like neighbors and teachers, often overshared with me, saying I was a great listener. I was curious about Tara's death since she was my math partner and super popular, so I pieced things together from what I knew about her life. Now, as an adult, I'm like, holy cow, that was wildly inappropriate, Mrs. Tucker. In 5th grade, a girl in my class was bullied for her height and Romany features, called names like giraffe or gypsy lady. Her brother in my brother's class got picked on too, called weak or worse. Recently, my brother brought it up, asking if I knew. He said in 9th grade, the bullying stopped after the boys shared at a religious retreat that their dad was in. Prison for abusing them and forcing them to do things to each other. I had no idea. That girl just wanted friends and her home life was a nightmare. I feel guilty for joining in the name-calling. Wherever you are, Liz, I hope you're okay and giving your kids the love and childhood you deserved.